Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Why are you worried about that? That's my question. Why are you worried about that? And even if I said that to myself when I was younger, I think it probably would have changed a good part of my life. Why do we worry about what others think, say, and feel about us? In our culture now, there's so much going on, but especially younger generation being worried about being judged thanks to social media and so much more, body image, dysmorphia, a lot of big challenges with that. We're going to dig into that today with an amazing psychotherapist that works with everybody, children, teens, adults, families, and more. Susie Engel is on the program with us. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, Steve. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to see you. So thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
You brought this topic to the table today, but coincidence or not, and I don't really believe there's any coincidences. I think there are coincidental incidents. Right on my phone in a feed was a story from the New York Post that's out today where there was somebody analyzing the way young girls dress today. Call them, low 20s, upper teens, and that. And the story basically is looking at what they wear, which I'll get to in a moment, and picking apart their fashion sense. So in one side, I think the article's interesting as it's putting a microscope on today's younger culture, but at the same time, it's also judging them. Like, don't do that. And basically, if you look at many girls of that age, it's light colored jeans. They're baggy now. They used to be skinny jeans a couple of years ago. That trended out. So it's kind of like going back to the 70s with, flare bottoms, if you will, and a top that's a single color, usually black. And that's what they all wear. And I got a 17-year-old. She just asked me to order a black top just like that. I'm not even kidding.
So you're in the know. But she's reflecting what you're becoming aware of. It's social media. Yeah. And it's funny. I was at the airport. We were just talking about that too. We have, just so the audience knows, we have a mini podcast that's unaired. Or my mother's lawn maintenance people. They used to say, "Oh, we know Phyllis. We have a mini group session before we just go out and mow her yard." Like she would congregate them and kind of discuss things with.
And our discussions sometimes before we get on here have nothing to do with what we're talking about. We just like catching up.
Right, which is really great. And it's kind of like a natural warm up because I think that these podcasts are very natural or organic or however we want to say. And I love that back and forth between the two of us. So thank you very much.
Likewise.
But the last time I traveled, there was a group of young women, probably 20, 21 years old. And literally, I thought they were on some sort of team. So I asked, "Are you traveling as a team?" Because they were all dressed alike. They all kind of had the same style. And these girls had a black top and baggy gray high-waisted sweats. And they looked like designers. Right. And they said, "Oh, no, we're just good friends." And I said, how adorable in my mind. And I said it out loud.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, and I'm very, very visual. I'm always looking at everything, processing everything. I go out a lot. I might go to venues where there's music and it's a mixed crowd. It could be 22. It could be 62, whatever. And many younger people, but even a little bit older, put me in the category occasionally, wear hoodies. And I saw something even today, even with the heat here in the Northeast and much of the country right now where it's like 90 plus, still wearing hoodies in this weather. And there are interesting reasons for that, where part of it is safety, security. You'll see even a lot of times put the hood up, where it's you're in like a pod where you have that sense of security. So in a way, I understand that type of dress, but in a way, it's kind of unfortunate that many are thinking that way, where it's just, I need to be in my zone. I need the security of my hoodie.
Yeah. And this we're talking about the influence of social media,
Mm-hmm.
really, because it is quite the phenomenon. And I'm sure there's going to be meta studies and research about it. And even walking down the street where you and I might make eye contact and say good morning to people we don't know, or say good afternoon, whatever that is, but you can see that people use their phones, and I guarantee that they are not on their phones. They just use it like the
Oh.
hoodie so that they can close themselves off, need
Hmm.
to engage, not need to assess, like, is this person, and most people are not dangerous.
No,
So
no.
where does that even come from? And it's really interesting. But
Can I share something with you? And
yes,
this is
please.
how it works. You massage my brain with a comment. There have been an occasion, I'm going to admit this, that I've walked out looking for my car and I can't remember where I parked it. And as I'm looking for it, I don't want people to think I'm stupid. And I'm like, where did you put your car? So I'll take my phone and I'll be like this, or I'll be like, yeah, anyway, where the hell's my car? Because I don't want to be judged. And yes, I can hit the key fob and hear the beep. Sometimes it's too far away to hear it, or I thought it was over here and it's over there. It's rare occasion, but
Yeah, you don't have a problem with that. It's just that that's the time you're embarrassed.
yeah,
So
for sure.
if we go back to the first question, you said, like, what was the question? Why would you worry about that?
Yeah,
Or why are you
why are we
worried?
concerned what others think about us or being
Right.
judged?
Right. So you're saying, I don't know where my car is. It, and that's like, but the thing is, the whole social media evolution,
Yeah.
the whole social media and technology has imposed, I think, on people what the standards are. And my fight here, at least here at the office with clients, and hopefully this audience is more, think about who's calling, who's defining what our standards are,
Agreed.
and why has it left us as an individual. It's never quite only individual. It's always some sort of social connection throughout the history of mankind, I'm very sure. But for the most part, how did it go from my individuality and I want to stand apart to we all better look alike, or be alike, or
Mm,
have the same style, or conform? And who's defining the standards? And that's
yeah.
an important question.
Well, it's interesting. Even if you were to go back, I don't know, 50 years or whatever, we dealt with the same kinds of things, worrying about what people think. It's happening now more than ever because of social media, because many people compare themselves. By the way, I love these three words. Comparison steals joy. Takes it away from you once you start comparing. But that to the side,
So true.
doesn't it go back to, like everything, our childhood and how we feel about ourselves, where many of us, and it's kind of universal, feel that we're not good enough. We're not good
Yes.
enough for many different reasons. Things that we were supposed to as a child, could have been an off comment, that somebody made that wasn't
Yes.
even for you, and then you internalized it for the rest of your life.
Yes, I think that that's very true. Like, families might instill in a young child a sense of individuality, and you don't need to follow people. You can be a leader. You can walk to your own beat of your own drum. um, and then there are families where they are, and the culture of the family,
Hmm.
or the culture of the family's culture, is to keep up with people and not be an embarrassment, and make sure you zip yourselves up and put on a good face when you go out that door. A lot of clients here who are grappling with trauma can say that their households as a child held secrets, and the stress of having to like put on a good face because that was taught to them. When you walk out that door, or you go to school, or to wherever you worship, or to the grocery store, you're a reflection of us. And the truth is, if you were really a reflection of us, you'd be a hot mess all over the place, like many people often are, because of the
We're
results
all
of
a hot mess in some regards. Come on. You can't,
yes, it's a spectrum. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree. But I'd rather be somewhat honest about it than feel this overwhelm of pressure to hide it, hide it, hide it. And social media is creating this ethos, this almost part of people's personalities, that they're losing their freedom. And you said the loss of joy, which I also agree with, but comparing yourself to others is also losing some sort of spiritual freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you're just wrapping chains around yourself. And I
For
never.
whom? For whom? That's
whom?
what I want to know.
That's just it. And
Who's making the standards?
what you're saying decades ago, and it could be even the same way now, but it was very much a thing. Like, you got stuff going on behind closed doors in the house. When you open the door and you walk out, you're representing this family, young man. Do you realize that? And what happens in this home stays in this home. Is that clear? That type of mentality where now you feel like you're controlled by that situation. But now it's social media. Now that's the control right there. It's
Right.
It's controlling the way you think, what you portray. People, they want you to see what they want you to see. It's not always reality. Most times it's not.
Never. I mean, rarely. The thing is, I remember at the start of the smartphones and the selfies and how that was like all the rage. I remember being on the beach and just doing my thing. I usually swim in the ocean every day off of work. I read, I walk, I read some more, I swim some more. I'm a swimmer, so I swim in the ocean. And I also can't help myself. I watch people, I observe people. It's just like a thing I'm drawn to. And this bunch of people were near me, not too close, but near, and they were so nasty to each other. And then in less than a nanosecond, this one person who was just as nasty as the rest literally changed physiologically to take a selfie. Like, this ugly, nasty, angry face transformed into a selfie pose.
Wow.
And I will never forget that moment.
I see it. I wasn't there,
Yeah.
but I see exactly what you're saying. And I don't post anything unless there's a benefit. And I'm going to be very, very transparent here right now. I went away for a few days and I posted some pictures where I was. The only reason I did that is because I worked with somebody for many years in radio. She passed away just about a year ago, suddenly. And that was a country that she was from. And I paid respect to her. And a lot of people knew us from the radio together. So I paid respect to her. I actually wrote her name in the sand on the beach. And she and I worked on that island where she was from, and had winners there, and it was a contest and everything years ago. And that was one of the reasons that I was there. But that's why I posted it, because people were aware of her passing. I didn't post pictures. Hey, look at me. Hey, what am I saying? I didn't even put any pictures. I don't think there's even a picture of me there.
And even if there is, at least what you're saying, and I absolutely relate to this, if I'm going to post anything, and I this is really my first social media thing, like doing podcasts, it's to share something.
Right.
It's in form. It's to share something that's meaningful. If it's meaningful to you, Steve, like that I related to what you were saying about this colleague of yours, or and to pay homage to her culture or her country of origin. I think it's beautiful. And I think that is so great about technology and social media.
Yeah.
But this comparing ourselves, listen, all of us have to do that to a certain extent. It's a spectrum. We're social beings. But if it's tackling us at the knees because we're comparing ourselves and putting ourselves beneath or inadequately or not good enough, whatever these concepts are, then you really ought to engage in more of these podcasts or therapy. Because then it's to your detriment. What? Like, no, we need to be, you know, setting our own standards, maybe having our own bar. Same with sports. If we're going to take up a sport, it's not for us to feel ashamed if we're learning something new and we don't know how to do it yet. It's something for us to work toward, to achieve, and to have our own, standards individually.
Yep.
And, I think that some of this stuff is definitely um, uh, supported in early childhood. And some of this shaming stuff, like what happens in the house, and zip yourself up, is also like another flavor that starts in early childhood. But I think it causes a great deal of stress, and I think it interferes with any person's individual development of self.
I completely agree. And you just brought a thought in my mind. I was going to ask you, what's the first thing we can do to not worry about what people think of us? But then I got a flash in my mind as you were speaking, and this is your superpower. You make us think that I think the first step is, I'm answering my question based on what you said, but I want your feedback too. Absolutely. Don't judge others. How many times, and don't lie, everybody, how many times you're someplace and maybe you're thinking to yourself, what are they wearing? Like, what kind of shirt is that? Like, why would you wear that? Like, don't do that. And it's normal.
Right.
I get it. But when you have that thought, stop it and reset it. And maybe that's the starting point. If you're judging others, then you're worried about what they may be. You're judging yourself, but you may be worried about how they're judging you.
Absolutely. 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 So I love that. I love this little mini epiphany thing. But it's also, why are we not learning? And I'm not, like, why are we not learning that everybody is individual, and who are we to judge?
Right.
Who am I? And I understand, like, some of us, I mean, you're making a little bit of there may be some people who don't worry about what people think of them.
Right.
I'm like way high up on the spectrum of never worrying about what other people think of me. And I think that started way early because I never really probably fit. I mean, I was sent to a certain high school. I was not preppy, but everybody was very nice to me because I feel like okay about myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say going through the angst of adolescence and comparing ourselves then, but I do think it's interesting when people are very concerned about other people judging them to ask that question, either how did you learn that you would be judged? Because, was I at the beach with my family when I was a little, and this didn't happen because my family didn't do this, but did somebody in my family say, ew, look at that person. Why would they be in a bathing suit? I've had clients tell me this, like beautiful people who believe this dysmorphia about themselves. like they're hideous or
I got you on that.
their
Yes.
faces. And I asked them, who was judging in your atmosphere, in your air that you were breathing? And everybody can pinpoint these examples.
And
And then they
yes,
say, oh, yeah,
it's so true. And even right back down to, you could have a daughter and make her, let's say she's 8, 9, and then mom. And this is, a common situation where
yes,
she wants to wear something. And I'm not talking about something risque or anything like that. She just wants to wear this shirt with these pants. And mom's like, you can't wear that. That doesn't match. You're not wearing that today. You're not walking out of the house. Blah, 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 blah. I get it. It's a normal exchange. But for some girls, they may internalize that as, I'm not good enough. I don't know how to dress. People are going to judge me. And in her mind, and now she's 16. Now she's 19. Now she has blanket body dysmorphia.
yes. And inhibition about her own creativity or mismatching or matching clothes.
Right.
Like right there, a child developing a sense of agency. I mean, and this is an extreme example, but it's the truth, is if they pick out what they want to wear, you have to say, nice, let's try it on. Go for it. I'm not talking about a little girl wearing a tank top and trying to look like she's 17 years old.
No.
That's a different kind of cray-cray. But when a kid picks out two things that mismatch and the parent is ashamed, the kid is learning to be ashamed of him or herself.
Yep. And I want to say here, we're not throwing any parents under the bus.
No,
We're
it
parents.
happens all the time. We
We're
don't know what
parents.
we're doing.
Well, that's just it. If I would you feel this way if you could go back in time with all that you know now about how the brain works and traumas and things like that, would you have parented differently?
I would have done some incidents way differently because I had the blessing of this child who could say, Mom, when you do that, it doesn't help me. This adorable
Oh,
little
wow, that's
8-year-old, little 10-year-old. And I would be like, oh my gosh, thank you. If you hadn't said this, I would have just done it over and over and over again. And I did anyway because I was trying to improve, but we don't improve perfectly. So I would thank him, thank you. And those were his words.
That's awesome.
Mom, that's not helpful. And I'm like, oh my Lord, thank you for
Right.
saying so.
That's-
But always these incidents was my unawareness
Yes.
of my reactivity, and you and I have spoken about this, and maybe we need to do a refresher, but my stress response turns on and, I'm in reaction mode, and that's not a fun flavor.
I totally understand what you're saying. And
Might not be directed at my child, but
Right.
he's absorbing the stress of it. Yeah.
even the minimal things, like I've always been the goofy dad, so I'll come up with silly names for my kids back in the day, and nothing negative, but just goofy fun, whatever. But now when I look back at it, I think that what, that's not their name. It's just me having fun, and sometimes they would fire back a name. Like my son, there was a period everything had stir at the end of it, so it was Dad Stir, or it just little silly stuff like that. But looking back at it, and the way from learning from people like you and the subconscious, kids can internalize things as, Dad's making fun of me, even though we're all laughing about it, but that it could be perceived that way. So I probably would have looked at it differently, even though it was all in just, fun. And again, nothing negative, just goofy spins on names, but it can be internalized in a different way. But, you don't know until you start learning about this kind of stuff from people like you.
I know, it's so exciting. And getting back to social media, maybe the pendulum might swing a little bit. Maybe social media and technology took off so quickly, and it is a phenomenal thing. I mean, we all benefit in many ways from technology, and but maybe because it grew so quickly,
Wow.
it will start, swinging. Maybe the pendulum is way up here, and it'll start swinging a little bit more to that sweet spot, like at the Museum of Natural History in New York City. That pendulum, the sweet spot where people can just maybe say, thanks for your opinion, and I'm happy the way I am. Not fighting back and saying, oh, you're a jerk for saying that,
Right.
or what have you, but rather, and maybe there'll be more freedom of just understanding that everybody's individual.
I
Maybe.
agree with you. I believe it is going to start swinging back because people are going to be craving connection. And even though there is connection with social media, it's not always real connection. I think we're going to crave it. I love connecting with you. We're out of time. Best way if somebody wants to connect with you and going through some challenges, whatever they may be, not what we're talking about today, just that, but there's anything. You have so much insight. How do we find you? What's your website?
It's my website and contact request. So my website is my name, Susan Engel, hyphen LCSW, licensed clinical social worker.com. And it's Susan Engel, ENGEL. Yeah.
I want to tell you, and I really mean this, and I'm not
You
just
should
saying
like a little caption.
They do that though.
but-
I'm not even kidding. That's how the video side of what we're doing here. They put it. It's called a lower third, and that's the graphic that goes underneath there. So that's. I can tell you right now. Mark, our engineer, is fastly typing as you just said that. I want to tell you, I love the shirt that you have on today. It's bright yellow, and it just feels good, like summertime. I really, 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 really mean that. Like that color pops on you. It really does.
Thank you. Thank you.
If I didn't say that,
Thank you.
I'd feel like I wasn't being me because it's like I feel like the sunshine came out, and I really mean that. Always love talking with you,
Thank
Susie.
you so much. Oh, thank you, Steve. I'll see you next time.
Oh, I appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.